From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, the first poll has dropped. Are the Noles undervalued? Observations from Monday's practice. And does Dabo Sweeney make a point? Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida, cptallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. That is the physical address. Tuesdays, tacos all day, y'all. Hard or soft shell, beef or chicken cannot go wrong. That is your special, lunch special, but all day because it's Taco Tuesday at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. And don't forget, trivia starts 7 p.m. sharp at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Great times, great food, great friends, pool, darts, trivia, bingo later in the week, live music, Vegas wall of entertainment. Can't go wrong. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. 5-star rating and review, please. Thumbs up if you're listening to us on YouTube. Come on, take advantage, everybody. $1 for an entire month of access to the website or 25% off an entire year's membership. That's probably about as good as you'll get until maybe Christmas time. And think about everything you'll have missed. You'll have missed all the classic wins over LSU and Clemson and riding high into Charlotte. So join now. You have been warned. Corey Clark, everybody. We love him. He's here. What's up, Corey?
What's up, Aslan? How are you doing, buddy?
Good. Good. You well?
Hey, I wanted to mention before I forget, two things. So first off, the more important thing, and you'll see in a moment, is Corner Pocket also has a sandwich called the Bear, which I assume is named after the TV show, which is awesome.
I haven't watched it, but I've heard
it's
nothing
great.
But great things. Yeah.
You've got to watch it. And it's only, I think it's like 8 30-minute episodes each year, and it's 2 seasons. So you're talking about that's 8 hours total for 2 full seasons. It's really good, man. It's an awesome, awesome show. It's one of my favorite shows going. But they have the first season all centers around them running this Italian, the Chicago beef sandwich, Italian beef restaurant.
Yeah.
And so the Corner Pocket has one of those on their menu now.
Nice.
And it's called the Bear, which it was good. I've had it. It's tasty. I think I like the prime rib better, but it's different tastes for different folks. But not as important is I meant to tell you this yesterday, and I forgot that Shanna texted me. If people don't know, Shanna is my ex-wife, Brady's mom, a huge Florida State fan, and a good person. Not a great person, otherwise we'd still be married. Am I right, Aslan?
You're right.
But a good person. And she texted me and said, you need to tell Aslan that I really enjoyed those interviews with the other ACC players and that you did a really good job making them interesting and entertaining.
Cool. Thanks, Shanna. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Got that.
I tried, man.
I did not listen to them. I apologize.
MJ Devonshire was a guy from Pitt when I was like, hey, you didn't even listen to my interview with the Pitt guy, and I didn't even know what his name was as I was trying to make you feel guilty because I didn't read your story when I was trying to tee you up. So,
yeah.
Nonetheless, I did not read your observations. So,
well, you were there. You saw a lot of it.
I saw a lot of it too. But let's start with the poll first off. We'll go in order kind of in the open that we laid out there. Preseason poll, coaches poll is out. Florida State, 8th.
Yeah.
8th. Out of 25 that get ranked, we all know how it works, everybody. The coaches vote on this.
Well, out of 130, really, but out of the top 25, yeah.
So I think we discussed this in our roundtable, which, again, I don't know if it ever made it to air. We've had so much stuff going on over at warchant.com, but, it was guessing where you think Florida State would be ranked preseason. I'm like, I think 5th. You got to give Georgia number 1. They're back-to-back champions. Michigan seems to be this in vogue pick. J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, the band's back. I can see Alabama just out of reputation. Southern Cal's got the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. And then I'm like, after that, I think you put Florida State at 5. Maybe Ohio State. If you want, okay, I could see maybe putting Ohio State. 8th, though, Penn State's ahead of us? Come on. I'll play Penn State right now. I'll give them 4 points. I'm not scared.
Right.
LSU ahead of Florida State, too. And I said this in the video. I feel like I'm going to be talking out of both sides of my mouth because in the video with Ira, I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. I can't believe LSU's ranked ahead of Florida State. I can kind of understand it. I get it. It was week 1 for them, second game for Florida State. You block on extra point. If the game was 5 minutes longer, who knows what happens? But it's only a 60-minute game. And LSU, kind of went toe-to-toe in the SEC championship game for a minute with Georgia, and then they throttled Purdue in their bowl game. But I never like putting all that much stock in bowl games, Cor. So
right.
All that to say, eighth, fair or maybe a little bit undervalued for what Florida State can be because they got a lot of talent, and we saw it on Monday.
We'll get to the value in a second, but I think it's perfect. I think it's high enough that it shows that the nation respects you and the coaches respect you and what you have coming back and what you're building. But it's not high enough that you can't have a little I want to show them type attitude. Like you've undervalued us. Like I think that can make these guys a little mad, especially if they see LSU 3 spots ahead of them and Penn State ahead of them. That can make them feel underappreciated, which is a great thing for a football team in the first week of August. You know what I mean? I just think if they probably think, and they could be wrong, they probably think they're the best team in the country. So when they see an 8 by their name, they feel disrespected. And that's a good thing. It's awesome to feel disrespected and be in the top 10. That's a good place to be living. And I do think that I don't think many Florida State fans feel like completely disrespected, but I think they were probably I thought they'd be 6th. Maybe 7th. I didn't expect Penn State to slide in there in front of them. And quite frankly, the thing with LSU that's bizarre to me is let's just say that bowl game didn't happen because they played a Purdue team that like half the team sat out.
Yeah.
But if they played it, whatever. Florida State played a 6-6 team, so whatever. But LSU's last 2 games before that, they somehow lost to A&M badly. And then gave up, I know they scored points, but they gave up over 50 to Georgia. Those were their last 2 games of the season. Not exactly a great crescendo to the season. And then now it's almost like it's not almost. Those 2 games are completely wiped away, and they start out 5th. Again, Florida State was playing Florida and Oklahoma, so it wasn't like they were playing, Georgia and Alabama to close the year. But Florida State ended with 6 straight wins. They didn't lose to A&M. And they didn't give up 50 to Georgia, but, no shame there. So anyway, I would have, I can see how this could be a really good thing for Florida State to feel good that they're in the top 10, they're in the conversation, they're back, quote unquote. But, a little bit of disrespect, like, oh, you got us 8th, huh? Penn State, USC. USC lost their bowl game to, who they play, Tulane?
Yes.
Yeah. LSU beat the Jesus out of Purdue. I meant to say Bud Jesus, which I wonder where that name comes from. You can't beat the Jesus out of anyone. I didn't mean to get religious, folks. But yeah, they lost their 2 games before that. So I mean, does Florida State have do they have the second longest winning streak in the country going right now? Second or third?
I don't know. I'll see if I can find.
It's got to be close, right?
I can't believe they really did lose to A&M. They lost to A&M by 2 scores. They lost to A&M. Wasn't this like they kind of,
Yeah. What was the score?
38-23.
Imagine giving up 38 to that A&M offense. Now there might have been a pick 6 or a fumble return. I don't remember how A&M scored or a punt return, but 38 to that A&M team that was scoring like 9 points a game, and then giving up 50 to Georgia, who was. I know we remember the TCU, and they became a very explosive offense. I shouldn't say they just were good for one day. But they weren't LSU 19, and you gave up 50 to them, and it could have been 80. Like, I think LSU was down in that game. Like, I think they gave up 35 in the first half against Georgia. So they didn't finish the year real strong, I guess is what I'm saying. But they get the benefit of the doubt because, they're a really good team program, and they're in the SEC, and we all got SEC pride now, so good for them.
It was actually 17-10 going in intermission.
No way.
Game.
That can't be right.
Yeah, that's what it says. And then A&M outscored them 21-13.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I was talking about the Georgia game.
Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry. Jimbo always on my mind. You know how that goes.
Understood.
Yeah, it was 35-10 at half.
Yeah, they gave up 35 in the half to Georgia. Georgia completely took their foot off the gas in the second half because they had to go get ready for a playoff game. And meanwhile, LSU scored some points with their backup quarterback, but they got blitzed in that game, and they lost to A&M to finish the season. So anyway, it's fine. And that's not to say that Florida State should be favored against LSU or Florida State is better than LSU. It's just a little odd that they're ranked so high after that finish to that season. But, beating Purdue in a bowl game where the Boilermakers don't bring half their team has always impressed pollsters.
Yeah, and their coach was gone as well.
That's right.
I don't even know if the new coach, I think the new coach might have coached that game too, so the whole thing was bizarre. Longest active winning streak in the country, Georgia 17, Troy University 11, Fresno, the other FSU, third with 9, Washington, Big Ten bound Huskies with 7, they're fourth, and Florida State, they're the fifth longest active streak with 6.
That's right. Georgia was undefeated last year. You would think I'd remember that as an alum. For some reason, I was thinking they lost the game.
All they've got to do is win 30 more consecutive games to tie Oklahoma's streak from 53 to 57.
Before college football was truly integrated, so that record doesn't count. I think the real record is probably, I think Miami won from like the end of 99 or the end, like the middle of 2000 to the end of 2002. I think won like 30 something in a row. I think that's the record I recognize.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I've never been one to put stock into bowl game performances. I'm just kind of looking at it from, Florida State, what they're returning, what they've added, and what LSU has returned and what they've added. And I just don't see it being 3 spots higher. But, the great thing is they'll play it on a football field here in less than 30 days, and we can figure it out then. Clemson ranked 9th, which I thought was interesting. Apparently the media in Charlotte 2 weeks ago thought Clemson was better than Florida State, but the coaches, the nation, don't agree with what the media has to say. I do not see a Gatorhead nor a U anywhere on this array of teams, so I'll get back to you folks if we can find that.
Right.
A&M 25th. Look at that.
Yeah, how about that? That's weird, right? Everybody put a lot of they just beat the preseason number 5 team in the country to finish out last year. Of course they get a bump there. That's the guys. You will not, if the Florida State actually does land in the SEC, you can't wait to see how much credit you're going to get for close losses. They're going to be better than wins in the ACC. They're going to do more for you.
I saw a weird tweet earlier, and I don't have it pulled up, but something like I think it was trying to make it sound like, we're going to a power 2, obviously, but I think it was something like 11 of the top 25, maybe 12 of the top 25 are teams that are going to be in the SEC and the Big Ten starting next season when they've expanded. I'm like, well, they've got like 40 teams almost amongst all of them. That's really not, puffing out your chest that much. Florida State and Clemson, the only teams inside the top 10 that are not going to be part of those 2 conferences come 2024. Or will they? Who knows? Monday they practiced in pads, shells, shoulder pads, helmets. Corey, I'll let you kind of obviously steer the ship, but I didn't write down a lot of things, but I did think Johnny Wilson, I don't know, maybe just his number got called up a little bit more than usual. I know early in practice I think he had a drop perhaps, but otherwise just kind of displayed just how difficult of a matchup he is going to be. Spoke to him after practice, kind of asked him, what has changed? He's been 6'7" probably for the last 5 years of his life. He's had the same kind of speed, and he said that he's trying to embrace being a leader, holding people accountable, and how can I hold people accountable if I'm not doing the right things? And maybe that's kind of put him to a different level. I thought the offense looked really good. You kind of asked Coach Norvell as much. Johnny was kind of my big standout player, I guess, of the day. What did you think about Monday's practice? What stood out to you?
First and foremost, it's 15 of the top 25 are Big Ten or SEC. I just looked it up. But more importantly, 10 of the top 12. Ooh. And the 2 that aren't are FSU and Clemson.
No,
and then number 13 is Notre Dame.
Okay. Who tweeted that?
I just looked it up.
Oh, all right. My man.
Yeah, just looked it up. I didn't find the tweet. Daddy just went and did the research himself.
My man.
Yeah, man, what stood out to me, and I wrote about it, was that it was a great reminder because the first 3 days were choppy for the offense. Yes. And quite frankly, they were still choppy it wasn't like they just moved up and down the field on Monday either. But Keon Coleman had a big catch on Saturday for a touchdown, an 11-on-11, like a 65-yarder. He had another one on the second play of 7-on-7. Great throw from Jordan down the sideline, and Keon beat Jarian Jones. And I say beat, he was like 2 steps by him. It wasn't like he sprinted past him. Jordan made another great throw. Keon catches it, keeps his balance, and goes 65 yards for a touchdown, or 63. And then, 15 minutes later, Johnny Wilson's catching a 68-yard touchdown over Renardo Green with another great throw. And Johnny with a great route and a really nice catch, man. He's running full speed, sprinting, and fully extended with his arms and caught that and brought it in. Jaheim Bell in the first 11-on-11 to start the day. What are those drills called where they set up for the field goals? Tempo?
Yeah, like period
like
three.
period three.
Yeah, period 3.
Jaheim Bell had a 55-yard catch in that one. So
first play, absolutely beautiful throw by Jordan, over the shoulder catch by Jaheim. It was gorgeous.
And to see him, like Jordan saw him. So those three guys who we figure will be maybe the 3 biggest weapons in your passing game, right there, that is 185 or 190 yards of offense and probably 3 touchdowns. Just in 3 plays. And it was a great reminder to me, I thought, because you hadn't seen it a lot in the first 3 days. We know what Johnny Wilson is, but he hadn't made any real big plays the first 3 days. You're reminded, oh yeah, that's something that it doesn't matter how you cover it. It's going to be really hard to stop. And then you've got Keon on the other side. There is a chance. I'm not saying it's happening. They also got to stay healthy. There is a chance you're going to have maybe the 2 best receivers in the conference are on the same team. Mm-hmm. Man, what a weapon that is to go along with somebody that might be the best tight end. And Marqueston Douglas, all that guy does is make plays.
Yes.
Every time you're turning around, it's a 15-yard catch here. It's a 22-yard catch there. He's getting free for a touchdown in red zone one-on-ones. He's beating a linebacker for 30-something yards down the middle of the field in one-on-ones. And he's not dropping anything. That dude is a reliable weapon at a huge size. So and then with what's going on with Winston Wright and Destin Hill in the slot, you're all of a sudden thinking, man, it was just a good reminder of, oh man, if this thing is operating on all cylinders and they can stay healthy, this offense is going to be an absolute monster. It is just going to be a monster, gang. It doesn't mean they're going to score 50 against LSU, but over the course of the season, if they stay relatively healthy, this should be an offense that averages 40 points or more per game. It's an offense that should move up and down the field on every single defense it faces because nobody has all the answers for this thing. And that's what Johnny Wilson said afterward when he was asked about it. He's like, I've never been on a team that's been this loaded. With this many weapons, because you can't double team me because there's Keon. He's like, there's another great receiver, and we got Jaheim, and we got Trey in the running backs, and we got Marqueson, and we got Trav. Yeah, because Jordan Travis is an incredible runner to go along with being a really good just passing quarterback. And I guess all that was kind of illuminated more than it had been the first 3 days. It was just kind of a stark reminder of, oh yeah, these guys are legitimately very good and maybe a great offense.
And Keon Coleman's still learning, right?
Yeah.
And we've heard that as well. So, that's scary to think about. Not for us. It's fun to think about, but if you're going up against this team, it just, I've said it a few times, probably say it a few more. It's hard to think of this team playing a 60-minute football game and not having answers to move the ball dynamically, like big explosive plays, as you mentioned, like 3 plays, 100 whatever yards of offense just off those plays, and Destin and I think Winston, and I'm starting to see it from Winston too. I mean, you pointed out a little bit earlier. I had been keeping an eye on him, but he does seem much more natural. Like I think he's whatever kind of ceiling he might have been dealing with in terms of like a mental block of just kind of getting past whatever he had to endure and through all of his rehab. He seems to be coming through, and then hear Norvell talk about we knew what we were getting in Destin, and it kind of makes sense they probably held on this long for him to show up. So. Offense looked quite well. How about Lawrence Toafili? I thought he had a really nice run in team drills and kind of reminded us that, maybe we think of him as like this Swiss Army knife, but he could still bust it between the tackles. And I think Gabe Fertitta chased him halfway down the field with Coach Norvell and was coaching him up and giving him high praise. So there's another weapon that we don't talk about maybe often enough.
At all. And we haven't really talked about Trey Benson at all because it's not like the running game is really featured in these. They're not really featured in practice at all. You don't want your running backs taking hits, but you're not going to bust this 75-yard run typically in a practice because they're going to blow the play dead once you get through the line. But yeah, Toafili, it's a great point because Toafili is a guy that he's not your number one running back. But I could envision a scenario where even if Benson plays every game and is healthy, Toafili could get you 800 yards of total offense. He could have 550 rushing and 300 receiving, or the other way around. The guy is such a unique weapon in the passing game, and he's a good running back. He's not just a stopgap until Benson catches his breath or gets, he wants a series off. Toafili is a impact player And there, I mean, one of many. But yeah, when you think of, it's almost like the one thing you wonder about, like how many touches is Toa Feely going to get in a game? 12?
Man,
8?
I'd probably say closer to 8 than 12.
Which is crazy because, man, he is a guy that I think if you give Lawrence Toafili 20 touches a game in whatever capacity, he's going to get you 120 yards of offense. He is a good running back. He's good out of the backfield. Just a solid to good college football running back. And he's almost an afterthought. And he's done it. It's not like he's never done anything in games. He's had big moments for this program. So yeah, man, that's a good point. He did look good. Benson obviously is clearly the number one. But you have what's so interesting is that you know the run game's going to be there, right? You just know it. We've covered this offense and this program enough to know they're going to, even in that 2021 season, they had 200 yards rushing in like 5 straight games or 5 out of 6 straight games, which was the best run of 200-yard rushing games for Florida State in like 25 years. And that was 2021 when they weren't winning a lot. So the point being, we know they're going to run the ball. We know that's just a staple. Whoever's back there, they're going to block it up. With Jordan Travis back there, they're going to figure out a way to get a lot of rushing yards and to be able to do that on the ground. It's just, man, you were talking about when you have those two guys out wide to go along with Jaheim Bell and Marquise at tight end, and then Winston Wright, and we talked about Winston Wright and Destin Hill. That is a slot tandem that I think I might have been more excited about the prospects of this season following Monday's practice than I have been in 9 months. It's just the way Destin Hill moves out there. I know he's a freshman. I know he's still got to learn. Just the way he is out there and how quickly he comes out of breaks and what he does when he catches it and how fast he is and how quickly he seems to be picking things up. And, I'm not trying to give away trade secrets, but how maybe he already switched from one side of the field to the other in practice because they kind of can see where this is going. And maybe he needs to practice with other teammates.
Oh.
So
I think people might have thought you were talking about him playing on the other side of the
field.
No,
I'm sorry. When they were having like the 1s and 3s and the 2s, or the 1s and 2s on one side and the 3s and 4s on the other. Yeah. He's not working against scout team DBs much anymore.
No.
And he belongs, man. He belongs. He shook Shaheem Brown out of his shoes and now look, it's 1-on-1 in the end zone from the 5-yard line. Shaheem Brown Florida State slot receivers should not be able to be covered by a safety in that, especially with nobody else on the field. But Destin Hill just made it look like I was trying to cover him. He's got some juice to him, man. And then Winston Wright, you see what he's becoming because he keeps seeming to get better, faster, more burst. He never drops anything. Neither does Keon Coleman, by the way. They just do not drop passes. But he's like a pro. He's like an experienced pro. He could be your Kenny Shaw. Like you're just your guy in your slot. You got your 2 superstars out wide, and then you got your guy in the slot that just you look up at the end of the day, and he had 84 yards receiving and 4 first downs. Like he could be that guy for you. And he's old. They're all old. It's set up for a really, really kind of special offensive season with the caveat, of course, of if they stay healthy. But, man, what a deep receiving core.
Yes. I mean, someone was asking about Kentron in the comments the other day.
Don't even mention him anymore, man. Like, that's what I'm saying. And Portier was the best guy they had in the spring. Yeah. So, I guess I see what Micah was thinking. Honestly, like, think about Micah Pittman right now. Like, would you start him? I don't think, and I really do appreciate what he did for the program. I appreciate how tough he is and how hard he played last year and what he meant to that football team, off the field and on the field. And his vlogs were awesome. But I don't think he would play for this team in the slot. Not much. I would not. If Winston Wright is fully healthy, that's a plus on Micah Pittman. He's better than Micah Pittman.
I think Micah Pittman.
Destin Hill, if he finds his ceiling quickly, Destin Hill is better than Micah Pittman.
Yeah, that's the operative phrase there. Like if he finds his ceiling quickly, I think like if Micah was still with the program right now, he's still probably running with the ones. I don't know a week out from the LSU game how things are looking, but I would think right now he's probably would be ahead of those guys. But they're coming on so strong. They've got so much more room to grow, whether it's Destin or Winston finding his old form, that probably at some point he would get passed up. So best of luck in Utah. Eat the Gators alive, Micah. We love you, man.
Absolutely, man. They're coming. They're going to Utah too, right?
Yeah, they're coming to Great Salt Lake.
Come on, Micah. Put 3 scores on them.
More observations coming up, but check out our friends over at Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code Warchant BOGO. Warchant, BOGO. Buy one item, get an item of equal or lesser value for absolutely free. Everybody else going to Vitamin Energy doesn't know about that. Only you folks that are Florida State fans that listen to the pod do. Take advantage of it. It's simple. It's the math. Buy one, get one free, right? Also, though, they're talking about improved gut health. If you've got to take 16 ounces of an energy drink to get pumped up and ready to go versus less than 2 ounces, who's going to be having the six-pack abs at the beach? The guy drinking the 16-ounce energy shot can, or is it going to be Corey Clark and his 2-ounce shot of Vitamin Energy? Spoiler, it's going to be Corey Clark. But it doesn't matter.
Brother.
Corey's going to drink a gallon. Corey's abs still going to be popping. That's the way it works. Your body will thank you. Energy levels elevated, antioxidant support, helps you with weight management and immune system response. Check it out, vitaminenergy.com. It's vitamin energy season, everybody. I'm a morning person now. Waking up for these morning practices, take a half shot, good to go. Hit the gym afterwards, good to go. You go to vitaminenergy.com. Use that promo code WarChampBOGO. Shake it and take it. vitaminenergy.com.
You know, you brought up the six-pack, Aslan. And I guess I have to make an admission here. Our confession, I'm starting to check out dudes' bodies a lot more than I ever have because I've been working out, I don't know what, 18 months or so, 16 or 18 months. And I literally almost do have a six-pack. Like when I kind of flex my stomach, it's there. You can kind of see it. I just don't have a resting one. But so we were out with a friend who was on a first date with a guy who clearly worked out.
Ooh.
And I couldn't help myself. I started asking him about his routine.
Okay.
I asked him if he had six-pack, if he did cardio. A friend of the show, a guy I think you met, Chris, who's a fan of the show that I've met at Tail. Well, I've met a bunch. He's a friend. Yeah. We were out with him and his wife. They both.
Chris in Louisville.
Yeah, that's right. So
dude,
and his
don't
wife.
Hold yourself to Chris, man. Chris is an Adonis.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah,
but I don't like the person I'm becoming because I showed him a shirtless pic of me.
Corey.
Well, I want him to give me some tips, like, okay, because he's like, yeah, man, you look good or whatever he said, but he's like, you can see you can do some stuff here and do some stuff here. Right. And then his wife, who was a cheerleader at Florida State, they both have like 8-packs. Yeah. So they're giving me hints on how to take the next step. Okay. But I've noticed that if I see a dude that I know for sure works out and they're pretty easy to spot, I'm always wanting to ask him for tips or just check them out. Like look at him a little bit, and I'm like, man, I don't like the person I'm becoming. It's getting a little weird, but hey, I'm all about that life, Aslan. I got like one of the 6-pack left. I got like a 5-pack.
Okay. I
got to I need to finish it off, and so I'm asking for all this advice. But in the meantime, it ends up me showing shirtless pics to my friends. So I probably have a problem, and I probably shouldn't have confessed that for people to hear. But we all know each other. There are no secrets here. How's your Tinder game doing, by the way?
Not great. I was wondering.
What about Hinge?
I'm on that. Yeah, nothing's going great. But
sorry, buddy.
We're going to cover a really good football team. We're focused on that. That's
all
a
right.
good one.
Hey, my fault, everyone. Let's get back to the football. The Jared verse is really good. He's really good. He was good again on Monday. That's a stunner.
I was going to say, I don't know if that was part of the read or should we go on a commercial then or now, but I've got quad envy when it comes to Destin. Destin looks like he can squat a freaking brick house, so we'll go back to the aesthetics there. Defensively, though, defensive end, Jared Verse, I mean, being an absolute maniac and just affecting the pocket every single time he's out there. I liked what I saw to Gilber Edmond on Monday. Yeah. I thought that was really important. I just kind of believed, again, that Derek McClendon probably was a better option for you because he just had been in the system for so long. He seemed to be pretty focused on wanting to have a really strong season and, set himself up for a future. But, you kind of look at the PFF grades, and Derek graded out higher than Gilber. I think Gilber might have been a little bit more productive in terms of pressures and tackles for loss. You can talk about level of competition. I think McClendon might have played a little bit better against Clemson than Gilber did against Clemson when he was at South Carolina. But he's a guy that that was a position that we talked about in all the offseason. Like, who's going to step up and be that third guy to help out Jared, help out Patrick? They obviously can't do it all the time. Man, Gilber getting close to 260, Norvell complimenting him on his physique. So maybe having his best overall day, I think Norvell also said. That's another key part that, maybe a key part might be, a little bit of a hyperbole, but this is such a solid team front to back that there's little sort of margins that you want to get sharpened up, and defensive end depth was one of them. I feel like if Gilber Edmond can continue to take another step or two here the remainder of the offseason or the preseason, Florida State will be really good in terms of depth at defensive end.
Agreed. Well, defensive line in general, because I thought Fisk had a strong game too.
Oh yes.
That guy, he was moving people out of the way.
Say it. He's relentless. He's got a good motor.
He is relentless. That just got a motor, guys. That he doesn't know where the off switch is. He can't find it on that thing. No, he was really impressive. And we assume, we hope that Darrell Jackson's going to be available. But when you're talking about Farmer, Fisk, Jackson, and Lovett, you're set at defensive. And I think Briggs has been pretty good.
Yeah.
He's been getting run in there, and he's been pretty good. But yeah, Edmond, that was his best game. He made flash plays, which you kind of want your defensive ends to do. And I'll be quite honest with you. It's not that I don't pay attention to the let's just say that Tom's watching the one-on-ones while I'm watching the one-on-ones on receiver DBs. So he's down there watching the line of scrimmage. And those guys, sometimes it's 3-on-3 or 3-on-2, and sometimes you're just one-on-one. So he's paying more attention to the trenches in those settings where it's just the one kind of the drills. But when it gets into team, when it's 11-on-11, I hadn't noticed 19 at all the first 3 days. And again, it's 3 days. Yeah. But I hadn't noticed them at all, really. Well, I noticed them a lot on Monday, which was good to see. He's also going up against your guys, so you want them to block better. But I thought he showed you why he's here. He made an impact, which I didn't think he had really done and been all that impressive. But again, it's 3 practices that we had seen until Monday. So his 4th practice, he made some plays. He had I'll call it a strip sack on Tate.
Yes, he did. Absolutely did.
And it wasn't like you're probably thinking, a strip sack. Well, they're not tackling these guys, right? He's like, no, and you're not supposed to hit them high. You don't put your arms up near their helmet because the coaches don't want you to come down and hit their arm or hit their hand or fingers. But Tate had the ball by his hip, and Edmond made a really smart veteran play, and as he was kind of running past them, knocked it out. For a caused fumble. So that you like seeing that, man, because 5 is just a freak show. And Patrick Payton's the other guy. He's been good, and he's going to keep getting better. It's that third guy, right? That we're wondering about, and maybe he's it. Byron Turner's had some moments too, but I don't know that he's ready to be at that level or even close to it as Burst and Patrick Payton are, but maybe Edmond could be that third guy that rotates in, that you don't have that much of a drop-off.
Let's hope, because, again, man, that front 4, they probably have 6. I mean, when we start talking about the interior, they have more depth there, and they certainly need some help on the edge with, Jared and Patrick can probably play 75 reps, but, I'd like to see them maybe play 55, 60, somewhere in there. Maybe that's not enough, but that was one of the things that stood out to me defensively. Anything else stand out to you Monday, Core, that we did not go over? I thought, Jabril Rawls had an interception that led to a great celebration towards the end of practice. Blake Nicholson had a backside tackle that was nice to see.
Yeah, that was a really nice play. He shot the gap. I wrote about that in the observations. It was a read with Duffy. Duffy handed it off. Nicholson read it immediately and was in the backfield making the tackle. I say tackle for loss. The 2-hand touch for loss. Almost as soon as the running back got it. That was a really impressive play because he just triggered and went. And he got there really quickly. You can see why they're excited about him.
Greedy also looked pretty solid, I thought. Greedy Vance.
And I'll say the guy, I'm trying to figure. Renardo is still Renardo. He's been the most consistent, best cover guy they got. He goes up against Johnny every one-on-one rep is those two, so he's going up against the best. He's won more than he's lost in one-on-ones. And you're talking about the freak show at wide receiver that he has to go try to cover. He's done a really good job, and he's been just as good in 7-on-7 and 11-on-11. But other than him, I might think that Azareye'h Thomas has had the best start to the preseason. He had 3 more pass breakups on Monday. He did give up a 25-yard catch to Johnny Wilson. But what can you do, man? It was one of those. You guys can picture it. They're running down the sideline. It's back shoulder and it's high. He was right on his hip. He leapt for the ball. Johnny just caught it and came down with it. But there was another interesting moment that happened before that, Aslan. I don't know that you were in there yet for that. It was in 7-on-7. It was Johnny against Renardo. It was like the 3rd and 10 portion of practice. And I think it was right at 10 yards. It was a stop route, back shoulder, however you want to call it, from Jordan to Johnny with Renardo Green on him. And it was a really good throw right behind Johnny. He stopped and caught it, contested catch, hands catch, came down with it. And Mike Norvell ran over to Travis and is like, if you put the ball there, he can't be stopped. He can't be stopped. And then he's like, great ball. And I was like, yeah, because there's nothing you can do. Like Azareye'h Thomas was in great coverage on the 25-yarder later on in practice. And he's a good cornerback, I think. And he's physical and tall for a quarterback. It doesn't matter when you're 6'7", when you're trying to cover a 6'7" guy like Johnny Wilson. So, but either way, the point being, Azareye'h, that was the only catch I saw Azareye'h give up, and it was to that guy. Other than that, man, I think he might have taken another step. I think he is very much in play for the other starting cornerback spot.
Yeah, man.
Just the way he started. Now, again, what is it, August 8th? We got time to whittle things out. But right now, he's going to play. I think we all know that. But he might have a chance to be the starter opposite Renardo Green. And I just don't remember Cypress. It's not like I remember Cypress giving up anything on Monday. I just don't remember. He didn't make any standout plays that I thought Azareye'h Thomas made. But I should add this, and I'm not trying to be mean or rude, but 2 of the pass breakups that Azareye'h had were against Josh Burrell. And Josh Burrell is just not one of the best receivers on the team. I would like Azareye'h, which he did. He goes against Johnny every now and again too. I want to see him, if they can match these things up, I want him to start going up against Destin Hill and Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson more.
Yeah. It's like it's me with Hakeem. Like I'll see Hakeem make a play. I'm like, ooh, that was Hakeem on the catch. And then someone's like, yeah, it was against a walk-on. I'm like, oh.
Hakeem has looked – that's another thing, man. That's what's so fun about this. I was thinking about that today too, Aslan. Like, where right now would you say Hakeem – if you were just listing the top receivers on the Florida State depth chart, and I'm not going to say list them by name, but would you say Hakeem is like 7th, 8th?
Yeah, so right around there. I was going to say 7th or 8th probably. Without having a list in front of me, but I would just think,
somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
And he is a 5-star freshman wide receiver, which is not to say that you're disappointed in Hakeem Williams. He might end up being awesome. He was not nearly as far along as Vandravius Jacobs, but he is certainly better than he was in the spring, and you can see him making strides for sure. Literally, you can. You can see, there's some stuff there for sure. Mm-hmm. But this is how it used to be, man.
Yeah.
Like, you could be a 5-star receiver in the 90s and come to Florida State. It didn't mean you were cracking that depth chart because they had a lot of good dudes. You had to earn it, and you had to go earn it every day, and you had to go beat out older guys who were better than you at the time. You don't just come in and immediately like Andrew Parchment it and like, well, I'm here. I'm the best you got, so you're going to have to play me. That's not how it is anymore, man. And that's what's so cool is Hakeem Williams might end up being an NFL wide receiver, and he might not play more than 20 snaps in 2023. He's got to get a lot better if he's going. And look, again, it's August 8th, so he can. But if injuries don't happen, I don't see him being much of a factor necessarily this season. But he could still he could and probably will have a very good career at Florida State. But that tells you about the depth that they've added and how loaded that room is all of a sudden, where you can bring in a 5-star hotshot receiver that has so many tools and gifts, and he's kind of an afterthought right now for this season. That doesn't mean he's not going to be. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to kill the kid.
No.
He's got a chance to be really good. But man, 3 years ago, if you brought in a 5-star receiver, he'd be starting.
Yeah.
Now he's he might not play at all because there are so many guys ahead of him.
What a time, everybody!
Man, I'm telling you, doesn't that get you excited?
Yeah.
Now Destin Hill is a freshman too. I get it, but he will play. I don't know how else to say it. He expect to see number 7 a lot.
Make your plays over at mybookie.ag and use the promo code WARCHANT when you sign up for the first time. That will get you an instant cash deposit bonus. Gives you a little bit more to play with over at MyBookie. You can bet on futures. You can bet on sports, whether it's rugby, snooker. I don't even know what snooker is, but there's a snooker option. Handball, esports, cricket, darts, biathlons out there. So if you're up with us late at night, there might be something going on halfway across the world. You can probably bet on it. And there's always the live casino. I saw something crazy, man. Like Tennessee is giving out 28 points against Virginia. Man, Tony Elliott, what's going on up there, man? What's going on in Charlottesville? Figure it out. That's not what you want to see.
I think I would take. Is that true? Is that the first game of the year?
Yeah.
Oh, I would take Virginia if they're getting 28 points. That's crazy. New quarterback, right, for Tennessee?
Yeah, Joe Milton. Yeah, he's the new in vogue guy though. He's super cool. Wears his shades at night and stuff.
Oh, nice. So. Okay, like Corey Hart.
Yeah. My fourth favorite Corey.
Behind Feldman and Simon. Who are the other ones?
Corey Savage. From
who is that? Fred Savage's brother?
Yeah. No, his name's not Corey. His name's Ben Savage. His name's Corey. His character was Corey.
His character was Corey on the show.
Yeah, I couldn't
hooking up with what's her name?
Topanga. Yeah.
Stephanie's my Topanga.
Oh. Make MyBookie your choice when you bet online. MyBookie.ag. Use that promo code WARCHANT. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere at MyBookie. All right, on the way out, Corey, saw this tweet come over in the afternoon on Monday from Pete Thamel, ESPN Insider. In the next 24 hours, and this was like in the afternoon on Monday, there's expected to be 2 phone calls for the ACC to vet and have early exploratory discussions on the potential addition of Cal and Stanford. One of the calls for the athletic directors, the other call will be the presidents and chancellors. So that's that. I don't know if you want to have a comment on that, but I want to also get to some comments from Dabo. If Florida State and Clemson were to leave, that would make sense almost. And not that you can replace Florida State and Clemson by bringing in Cal and Stanford, but they might fit the kind of, blueprint or the culture of what this conference could be, like really high-functioning universities, research universities that, play, Olympic sports quite well. So maybe that's them getting ready for losing us rather than, expansion.
Can you imagine how excited Jim Phillips would be at the ACC kickoff next year if they add Stanford? Because Stanford wins national championships in everything. Rowing, men's fishing, ice skating, all the random sports that literally nobody watches, they dominate in. So, man, instead of 9 national championships, you're talking about 15 each year for the conference. And you've won the Directors' Cup because Stanford has won that thing 30 years in a row. Yeah. So, buddy, he must be doing cartwheels at night thinking about how he gets to be so excited about all the national championships the ACC's bringing in. But in reality, look, Stanford's athletic program clearly is one of the best in the country. Now, they have a huge endowment, and they get a lot of really rich kids that concentrate on fencing, and they get the best fencers in the country. And they get the best water polo players in the country. They won
the national championship in men's gymnastics last year. I didn't even know there was men's gymnastics in college.
There isn't. It's just Stanford. It's an inter-squad scrimmage, and the upperclassmen won. They do a lot of good for this country when it comes to college athletics. I know they have a ton of Olympians, but they do absolutely nothing for football. Nothing, and that's all that matters. It sucks. I was thinking about this, Aslan. I don't think people understand how – I don't think I've made it clear that I'm not happy with all this. This isn't something – I loved the way it used to be. Yeah. I thought it was great. I hate all the tumult and all the seismic shifts that have happened to college football. I think it's bad for the sport. I loved the sport growing up, and I even loved it 15 or so years ago. I do not like it now. I do not like where it's heading, but this is the reality, and it's ripping apart these conferences in these athletic programs. Now, Stanford will be okay, and so will Cal, because their endowment's in the billions of dollars. So they will still be able to function at all those other sports that they've always been good at. I don't think anybody should be too worried about the poor kids at Stanford. But football-wise, it does nothing. It does absolutely nothing. And I saw a tweet about this on Monday. It might have even been from David Hale, who is in a precarious position here. He's in a difficult position of writing about the ACC for ESPN and having all these connections, but then having to be a realist too. But it probably wasn't from David Hale now that I think about it. The problem that ACC has is Stanford and Cal is going to do nothing for the ACC. Nothing.
Yeah, that's
financially.
It's not going to rewrite the TV contract.
Well, of course it won't, because who watches Cal football? Can you name?
Oh, they had Justin Forsett, Marshawn Lynch.
Okay, I was going to say, can you name 5 players that have played at Cal?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
If I spot you, Aaron Rodgers and Marshawn Lynch. Can you name 3 other ones?
Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen played at Cal?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
And
I know Deshaun Jackson did.
Yeah, he did. Oh, gosh.
Right. So we did, gang. We did it. We named 5. But obviously Cal football is less than 0 when it comes to national relevance. And Stanford football isn't too much ahead of it. They've had some moments here and there. They had McCaffrey. They've been to some Rose Bowls. But by and large,
Andrew Luck. Yeah, they ran it.
But by and large, Stanford doesn't matter. People don't watch their games. And they have not won anything of note in my lifetime. And they had John Elway and Andrew Luck, for crying out loud, and they didn't win anything. I guess maybe they won a Rose Bowl with McCaffrey.
Yes,
I can't
it mattered.
Remember.
Rose Bowls mattered, man.
Yeah, I know, but they haven't competed for national championships. And that's kind of all that matters now, sadly, but it is. So anyway, yeah, Stanford and Cal aren't going to add anything to the ACC. They would add nothing. It'd be kind of cool to have some late-night ACC games on the West Coast. But other than that, the point being, if the ACC wanted to make a splash and actually try to save the conference, they should have maybe had some forethought and tried to get these guys before all the good programs left. Like maybe entice an Oregon or a Washington to come join you. Now, they probably wouldn't because the Big Ten would be calling. But you could have made Stanford and Cal do nothing for you. Stanford, Cal, Washington, Oregon, and the Arizona schools, well, that adds a little something. That adds a little spice, but in the grand scheme of things, it seems like it's deck chairs on the Titanic. There's just nothing that can be done other than keeping Florida State and Clemson for the next 13 years that will save this conference financially or keep it at all relevant in football. Stanford and Cal certainly don't move the needle there. But, hey, they're going to win a lot more volleyball championships.
Headline on the Clemson On 3 website, Dabo Sweeney, we're going to be awesome here at Clemson despite ACC TV deal. Now, that wasn't the full quote, but that's what was put together for the headline. Now, when I saw that, I'm like, come on, Dabo. Like, you're not helping the cause out here, man. Like, you got to do the right thing and talk about the fact that, this is a sinking ship and we got to do better. But he says at the end of the day, we spend a lot of time focusing on what we don't have. I focus on what we do. We have 85 scholarships. As long as we have those 85, we're going to be awesome here at Clemson. Now, he says, from my perspective, my job is to take what we've got and go beat what they've got. And honestly, in my 15 years, there's always been a gap. We've never had the top TV contract, ever. I think from an athletic budget standpoint, I think in my time here at Clemson, we've been 17th maybe this past year. We've been somewhere between 17 to 40, depending on the year. I think that's where we've been. And he's basically talking about, we didn't have the same TV contract as LSU in 2012. We beat them. We definitely didn't have the same athletic budget. We didn't have the same amount of 5 stars or 4 stars, but you still got to play the game, right? And the more I read it, it's just, I know it's not going to be, Moneyball, small market versus big market, but
right.
you can't buy a national championship per se.
Right.
But is it really going to come down to who has the biggest payroll? I don't want to see that happening, but I guess we can't put the genie back in the bottle on this. Maybe not so much that, but your thoughts on Dabo's comments, off the mark, on the mark, or should he have kept those to himself at this point?
Well, no, I kind of like him because he's right, number one, but also he's not out there saying, I want to stay in the ACC. We love it here. The ACC's been great to us. He's not we can win big in the ACC. I mean, I know that's the implication there, but he's basically saying what is the truth is Clemson has been operating at a deficit from the teams they've competed with nationally in the last 5 or 6 years, and they've still competed with them and sometimes beat them. And have they won 3 or 2?
2. They've played in 3.
They played in 3 and won 2, and have been a playoff team almost every year, or are always contending.
Oh, they
for
played
a
in 4.
spot.
I forgot. LSU whooped them. And then
so they've won what is that? 6 playoff games? I mean, that's a good run. They're a very, or maybe 4 playoff games. I can't do math. It doesn't matter, gang. I think it's 6 though. But anyway, look, man, they are one of the best programs in the country, and that's another thing they should get credit for. They've done it without the huge resources that an Ohio State has. But it's also 13 years is a long time, and I guess you can. He's proven you can win and win big, making less money, but we don't even know yet. Look, Clemson should always have rosters that are similar to the Big Ten, or better than the Big Ten, just because of the geography. But now that the SEC, that we think in another year or two, is going to be, all those schools are going to be making $30 million more, or maybe more than that, than Clemson. What does that look like?
It's untenable at that point, right?
That's what you think.
Yeah.
Like, he has not had to deal with that yet. He's dealt with, a paltry $10 to $15 million gap, not a $30 million gap, and not a $30 million gap for 10 years. So you're $300 million behind. So obviously the facilities are better. We know it trickles down to the other sports, but it also trickles down to the quality of assistants. Imagine Florida State with $35 extra million. Alex Atkins gets an offer to go coach at Troy and be the head coach for 2.1. Well, you can offer him 3.1 and he's still your assistant coach.
Yeah.
That's where the money. That's where a tangible product, a tangible result of the money can come from. You can keep guys like Alex Atkins, or maybe however all of the monies have to be allocated, the roster retention will be better. The recruiting should be better.
Support staff, nutrition, your
staff,
weightlifting facilities. Yeah, these things.
You don't have to worry about Texas coming and taking your coach, or LSU coming and taking your coach, because you can afford, because you make the same amount of money that they do. So how could you not afford to keep them? You'll have unless they just want to go live in College Station. Why couldn't you keep your coach if he got a big job offer? You're in the same conference, and you have a better history and tradition than they do, almost certainly. Whoever's trying to recruit Mike, and I'm talking about, like, let's say Mike Norvell has a great year this year, and for some reason the Ohio State job comes open. Can you keep him? If you had $30 million extra dollars, I promise you could. It wouldn't even be a discussion. He might go because he wants a different challenge or whatever, but it wouldn't even be an issue. Yeah. So I think that's where that money really comes into play. It hasn't affected Clemson. Clearly, Dabo gets paid a ton, but it could affect those assistants. And they've lost some assistants, and the program isn't as good. It's still good, but it's ticked down a little bit. And, maybe those guys they lost, I know everybody wants to be a head coach, but maybe those guys they lost, maybe Venables is still there. Yeah. If you upped them to $4.5 million or $5 million a year to be your DC.
Here's all this money, Mike. This is your challenge. Try winning with all this money that we're giving you now. You didn't have all that much. Now here's your challenge.
You know what it's going to be like, man? I was talking to the great Tom Block about this.
Oh, yes.
After practice on Monday. Because he's like, where, and he was making the point of, like, the money doesn't guarantee anything. Yeah. It doesn't guarantee wins. And if you go to the SEC, even if you have a good team, you could lose 3 games a year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's going to be, once this all stops, once these dominoes stop falling and Florida State ends up in one of these other conferences, and there's 45 teams that are truly competing, or 40 teams that are truly competing for a national championship, it will be the NFL. And in the NFL, most everybody listening to this show right now has an NFL team. You don't expect them to go 17-0. You don't even expect them to go 14-3. You're hoping for 12-5, 11-6. And it'll be a tick above that in college football, but I don't think like Alabama and Georgia aren't. If Florida State, Clemson, Texas, and Oklahoma and Georgia are all in the same conference with Alabama and LSU and Auburn, man, the days of going 13-0, you are going to have an unbelievable team to do that. You're just trying to get to the playoff. So I think the days of chasing undefeated seasons will be done. I think you adjust the way you look at college football, which kind of, it pains me. It frustrates me. But 9-3 will be good enough in the SEC probably to get into the playoff.
Oh, yeah.
So losses won't hurt as much. Wins won't mean as much. Maybe I don't know how that will play out. But the point being,
so the Gators lose to Florida State, they still make the playoff though. Like that sucks. Like,
I know.
You just lost to Florida State. Like everything was on that game, and it no longer will be.
Yeah, man. The kick six.
Yeah, holy
the kick
smokes.
six wouldn't have even mattered. They wouldn't have even rushed the field because who cares?
Oh,
you're gonna have to play them again
right.
in 2 weeks.
You're right. Oh my God.
But the point being that I think that's where it's going is that when this thing all settles, it's going to be a bunch of 9-3 teams, 10-2, 9-3, getting into the playoffs. You hope you get to host a first-round game to give you an edge, and then after that, it is going to be, I think, an absolute crapshoot as far as who wins. And it also said, I think the SEC, if they add these teams, it'll be like watching the NFL on a Sunday, where almost every game comes down to the fourth quarter. It might come down to the final drive. Everybody has a chance to win if they get a few breaks, and it'll feel like every game is 27-23 or 35-30. I just think that's how with everybody getting the same amount of money, with NIL, with more parity than ever. I just think that's what you're looking at. You're looking at an NFL junior, and that pains me to say because college football used to be so unique and great. I think it's losing a lot of that, but you definitely want Florida State to be in the conversation and at the table when the whatever. I was thinking the Inception. What is the thing that's spinning at the end of Inception?
Never seen it. Sorry.
Oh, it's like a. Well, I don't want to give it away.
Like a beacon? I don't know.
No, it's a top, like a spinning top.
All right. Yeah.
It's supposed to tell him. You Christopher Nolan fans know all this. It's supposed to tell him he'll spin it, and that lets him know if it keeps spinning, he knows he's dreaming.
Huh.
But if it stops spinning, he knows it's real life and gravity is taking effect because there's no gravity in dreams or whatever they said. It's a good movie. You should watch it.
All right. Clemson's been in 10 college football playoff games. They're 6-4.
Okay, I was right. All right.
Yeah. Second most playoff wins behind Alabama's 9. Guess who's got the best winning percentage, though? That's played at least 3 games.
Ohio State?
Your Dogs. Ohio State's 3-4. The Dogs are 5-1 in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, that one was a painful one, though. Letting the freshman quarterback come on and light you up in the second half in your home essentially your home stadium.
Oh, Devontae Smith.
That was a toughie.
Yeah. All right. That's a wrap for us. We'll be back at it tomorrow, another show. Are we supposed to be doing a live show this week, Corey? Do we know?
I wouldn't think so because we'll be traveling to Jack's.
Yeah. Well, Jeff Cameron's show will be around. Before that, later today, 1 to 3 o'clock.
No, man.
Seminole
headlines.
I know.
Hey, shout out a little warning. I'm getting a car delivered on later today. And the window, of course, is right in the middle of headlines. So there's a chance I might miss a segment, or there's a chance I'll be recording from home and then racing over to the studio. We'll see. But hopefully headlines won't be. It'll still be a great show. It always is. But Corey might be missing for a segment while he tries to get his car.
Corey got Brady a King Ranch F-250 diesel.
Yeah, with a Hemi, and it's lifted up too. It's way off the ground. It's like a monster truck, like the Gravedigger.
Nice. All right, check out headlines 1 to 3 o'clock. Before that, we'll be at practice, interviews, footage, observations, all of that over on warchant.com as well as our YouTube page. Thumbs up again, 5-star rating and review. And don't forget, $1 for a month or 25% off for a whole year of warchant.com. Do it. You'll be like, I should have done this so long ago. And it'll be fine. We'll be like, it's not a big deal. Also, we'll be in Panama City Beach this weekend. Come hang out with us there. It'll be great. Michael Langston, myself, and Corey. For Corey, I'm Aslan.
Well, it's the Seminole Booster event, not just us three on the beach.
Well, who knows? Might get a little.
We'll see what the day takes us.
Yeah. I won't write anything out. He's Corey, I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.